Hi, this is Frank DeMora, the author of The Last Chronicles of Planet Earth, a documentary that you can get today for free by going to my site. And once you're there, you'll be able to click this link and get the book today for nothing. It'll come up in 35, 40 seconds, depending on your computer. But what I want to address today is something that really was disturbing to me since I've been watching the court case of George Zimmerman for the last week and a half or so. And yesterday when they gave the verdict, or the day before when they gave the verdict of not guilty, some things took place that were really disturbing, but in relation to what the Word of God tells us and shows us. In Matthew chapter 24, we see the Lord is revealing to us that in the last days hearts would wax cold and lawlessness would be as a result of that. So it does pertain, the court case, and I'm going to connect the dots here for you, but I want to show you an article. Let me go over to it. There was an article that came out with Infowars.com. This article was published on today, July the 15th. And the headline reads, Oakland, the police stood down as the protesters terrorized drivers. I'm going to read this. It says, one of the questions to emerge out of last night's unrest in Oakland were crowds protesting the George Zimmerman verdict turned violent and seized control of a major street for 3 hours is why police withdrew. Now get this, the police withdrew from the area and allowed drivers to be terrorized. And according to a report in ABC 7, protesters had complete control of the 14th and Broadway near Oakland City Hall and refused to let vehicles pass. At about 8:30 p.m., police opened the intersection to traffic, but it quickly deteriorated when demonstrators surrounded frightened drivers, get this, frightened drivers who found themselves trapped. Does this sound familiar? The crowd forced them to turn around. The Oakland police officers that had been near the corner retreated, leaving the helpless drivers without police protection. It's unclear who gave that command. Now, let me just tell you something. As an American citizen who was supposed to be protected by the police department, what happened between George Zimmerman and that 17-year-old black young man, when the world was, at least the people in the United States were up in arms, and it seems like everybody has an opinion. But let me just show you something that you have, and thank God it didn't happen. But when the violence broke out and the people in Oakland shut down this territory that they had seized and they were terrorizing the people, what if someone in that vehicle or vehicles felt that their life was threatened to the point where they thought that maybe they were going to overturn the car or maybe start it on fire or bodily harm? What if they had a gun and they took the gun out and started to shooting all the people who they thought were jeopardizing their life? Thank God it didn't happen. But the fact of the matter is, the police withdrew. And when they withdrew, they put these people, many people, in harm's way to the point that it was possible that we could have saw the same scenario happen as we saw with George Zimmerman and that young man. And who's to blame for this? Now, I, as a citizen of the United States of America who are supposed to be protected by the police, especially if you're one of those people who were in the cars in Oakland, I would demand who gave that order to retreat, leaving innocent people driving in those cars at the whims and the helplessness of those people who had gotten control of the streets. Now, according to this article and some of the news that I heard today, that they were asking for more demonstrations just like this. And who's to say that maybe tonight or maybe tomorrow night that the same thing might not occur? If somebody's threatening enough, somebody might pull out a weapon and start firing in a crowd. And God forbid, if somebody in that vehicle is a white person and shoots a black person. Because what we're seeing now in the United States festering up is racial war, tensions again. It's not good. Now, for the people who got the message from that young man, his mother and father said, don't result to violence. But yet we see different places across the nation, that's exactly what they're doing. So God help us if these circumstances continue. But the bottom line is here, I think that the Oakland Police Department owes the American public, and if that is going too far, the people who are in those cars, they should demand why they were put at risk by the police department who was told to back off. This is supposed to be America where the police department is protecting people. They pay taxes for protection, and they did not get it. I think every one of these cops who violated the oath that they took to protect, they should be put on suspension until they find out who gave this order. That's my opinion.